So now, the most awaited, the last panel discussion for the day, how to get prepared for hackathons. So we have Mr. Vijay Pravin Maharaj, who is the most 20 plus inspiring data scientist by AI Time Journal USA, and he's working at Siemens, Germany. Hey Vijay, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good to have you, Vijay. And we have Dr. Madhusoothanan Vijay, manager engineering research at NASSCOM India, and we have Dr. Mahendar, CEO and co-founder of Biz Brand Solutions Hyderabad, and it's me. So welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Mahesh.
Hi, Madhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I audible now? Yeah.
Excellent. Mahendar, can you speak once so that let's?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. If possible, try to enable your video so that it would be a more lively.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're traveling something.
I stopped beside. No problem.
Okay.
Give me a moment.
Good to meet you, Vijay and Mahendar as well.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Madhu. Hi, Madhu. Very good evening.
Very good evening. Good evening to you. Yes.
Okay,
Right.
as you know, how to get prepared for hackathon. That's the basic panel discussion for the day. And as you know, if you look at to get into the hackathon, before that, one should be more familiar with the codes, as we have a lot of platforms like HackerRank, Top Coder, Google Code Jam, Lead Code, Hacker Earth, Code Forces, Coding Bot, CodeChef, like this, a lot of platforms are there. So I am quickly running two different questions with all the panel. So you can share your insights. Let's just restrict each member can share your insights 3 minutes. So the first question, we'll start with Vijay first, and then okay. Unfortunately, we have two Vijays here. I'll call German from Germany. He's a Vijay, and from Bangalore we have Madhu from NASSCOM, and then Mahendar. So it's VMM again. So the first question,
two Mahis and two Vijays.
exactly, two M's and two V's. Very powerful combination. Okay, so here you go for the first question, gentlemen. Do you think a rank in HackerRank or Kaggle is good motivator? That is the first question.
Yes, I mean, if you ask my opinion, for sure it is. I mean, this is how people tend to push themselves more and more. So, I mean, like I I was participating in all sorts of things when I was a beginner, but yeah, now I am in this field for like 6 to 8 years. So I'm concentrating more on giving talks and sharing knowledge with people and attending conferences and so on. So for beginners or for someone who would like to get into data science and get into AI and ML, this is some sorts of real motivation. I mean, this pushes people to the next level, and if they continuously put efforts and see the results, then for sure it's a great motivation for them.
Okay, thanks, Vijay. Over to you, Madhu.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. So see, like, I know by this time, generally, like very less people will be around, but it's good to see that many people are around still. That shows the interest. So see, like, I just wanted to give a perspective and just to keep this question a little outside and like, try to kind of, indirectly answer this question. I do not know, right? So now recently, about very recently we had NASSCOM and IBM. We came together and conducted a national online hackathon, right? It is like a crack the COVID-19 crisis. So you will be astonished, like actually the amount of people who had participated and things like that. So we had participation from around 580 engineering colleges pan-India. And, like about 26,000 registrations were there for the program. Okay. And 3,800 teams participated in this whole program. And, to be very honest, actually, like the final submission, after all this mentoring and stuff like that, the final submission was only about 7,400. You can think about the ratio it is actually 2,600 plus registrations to 7,400 plus actual submission. And finally, out of the 3,800 teams, only 5 solutions, got submitted. Okay. So why I said this, statistics is actually, we were actually analyzing the whole, mindset of students, and we were trying to. So it's a common problem, and we gave about 3 problems on crisis communication, and one on the education, like what Shailesh was telling sometime before. On the education is a key area which is not addressed, and like community cooperation. Sorry for making a long answer to this, but I think it is very important for students to understand that where we are, and then look into all this, hacker things and all, right? So the fundamental problem faced by the engineers is actually the most fundamental thing is that they were not able to understand the problem first. Okay, once they understood the problem with the help of IBM and like NASSCOM teams and all, the second important fundamental thing is that not the technical stuff, but the ability of the students to form a collaboration with like-minded teams, right? Like who can contribute. So that is a fundamental area we found that like the students were struggling. So they had a lot of friends, but these all friends could not join together and develop a solution, right? So we need to have right set of people, right? Like as he said, like I was just watching a fun video sometime back, like, you need to have all elements within your team. Like you have to have a sales guy, you have to have a math guy, you have to have a guy who tries to understand the problem. Those are all very fundamental elements. The second fundamental element which we found is that the students had a constant, self-doubt on their ability to solve a problem. So that is one thing which I feel that which has to be improved, right? Like then you can go into all those things. And a third aspect is obviously the perseverance of the students to solve a problem, meaning the patience level in solving. When you develop a code, what happens is that you need to test it, like you need to make sure that it works. So all this, what do you call the haggler, you call it, or the hacker and things like that. What happens is actually what it makes finally is what you should understand. It is as good as like your 10th exam, whenever you prepare for your 10th exam or your 12th exam, right? It is as simple as that. What happens is that it is not we are giving a mark to the answer, right? But the method, how you approach the problem, right? So that's how you should look at any of this thing. And of course, yes, haggler and things like that is obviously an benefit to you. But when you solve all these fundamental things, right? Then I think yes, this will add a icing on top of your way to win any hackathon. So this is what I wanted to share. Yes. Over to you, Mahesh.
Perfect, Madhu. So, Dr. Mahendar, please go ahead. I think he's sitting on the steering. I think he started again driving back.
His microphone is off.
Yeah. Mahendar, you there? So Dr. Mahendar is very quite common. He used to attend hackathons as one of the jury or a panel member.
So yeah, it is actually like by the time Mahendar comes on board, see, like
Okay.
we visited, almost like about, I covered the south actually. I visited almost like 14 plus colleges actually, trying to, mentored them around. Yeah, he's back. Yes. Mahendar, your turn, please. You are on mute. You are on mute.
Mahendar, you need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. So the insight what you have shared, Madhu, is absolutely right. In fact, the kind of numbers who registered and then ideas presented and then what you have evaluated, that's how the current scenario is actually. So that's where, in fact, me and Mahesh discussed, and this topic also very much contextual. And when we're talking about hackathons, in fact, the core essence which is missing in hackathons is the empathy. So these participants being empathetic on the contemporary issues, okay, and then they familiarizing themselves with the problem. Okay, the familiarization of problem is one thing, and then they need to get into that ecosystem and understand the impact of the solution. Okay, so everybody is actually thinking about disruptive. It need not to be a disruptive. If it can solve the problem and it is very simple and many people can adapt it, that itself is a big success. So adaptation is also a very important thing. And just so as Mr. Sailesh mentioned that the top-down approach, bottom-up approach. So he has clearly mentioned about the top-down approach. And similarly, these guys, when they're working on a solution for a problem, so approach is very, very essential. So they need to understand where they are actually solving the problem, who all are the major stakeholders in that ecosystem. Then accordingly they have to do it. And in this process, the ranking system will definitely give them a clarity on where do they stand in terms of the kind of solution what they are offering, and then the quality measures in terms of their solution. And the ranking system also throws a light on their understanding at the same time how well the solution receptive. Basically, the receptiveness is more critical here. So the receptiveness aspect also will be clear with the ranking system. So all in all, I would conclude that this is very much essential. What we need is if this can go more wider and deeper, and and if the students work more and more on this, we can see more quality solutions down the line.
Yeah.
Perfect, Mahendra. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. And we'll be moving to the next question. As one of the saying is there, where data is the new oil. As you have a huge data, whether you talk in social media, we are generating huge amount of data. So, and on average, each day, humans are generating, it's around 10 power trillions of amount of data, which we are generating digitally. Now, without that, apart from the social media, even if you look at the government organizations, where we have a huge data is pouring, whether you talk about the healthcare, whether you talk about manufacturing, in any industry. Now, here the question is, the public data websites like data.gov, how much do you think, or any other websites, how much do you think such repositories contribute to gaining confidence for hackathons?
So in my opinion, as an industry guy, as an industrial expert, one can easily attain know-hows. Industry domain know-hows, or let's just roll back to my experience itself. I was working with telecommunications at the beginning, and then I had a small stint with Volkswagen, Germany, and now I'm with Siemens Mobility. So if you look at the domains, it's communications, automotive, and mobility, where we deal with trains. So that's the beauty of data science as well. So we can actually apply our knowledge to various domains. The thing is, you need to have the domain know-hows. So how will you attain that if you are not someone from the industry? So the good thing is to look at the open resources. I mean, openly available resources like you mentioned, and that actually gives you confidence. I mean, you can get a picture of what is there in the industry. I mean, there are a lot of open sources which are available where you get data sets from pharmaceutical industries, from finance, from retail. So even with this COVID fancy dashboards, a lot of people are using readily open sources. So it's good in a way to explore these. So I would say not just look upon one or two platforms, but just to briefly look around a lot of platforms just to attain more. I mean, just to look at a lot of openly available data sets and to explore uh, your knowledge and your expertise, your domain know-how on various fields. So this definitely builds a confidence in every budding data scientist or every budding guy who aspires to do AI and ML in the future.
Thanks, Vijay. That was a fantastic insights. Over to you, Madhu.
Yeah. So, he has almost covered everything. He has not left anything to cover for us, I believe. So, on the lighter side, see, like I wanted to add that, see, like this all data sets are the ones which will help everyone to, test their ideas, right? So, more so, we also have our own, data set, like the India AI portal, which has been launched recently, about a month back by our Honorable Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. So NASSCOM's desk, DSAI, like Data Science and Artificial Intelligence team, is the one which is actually formulating the structure of how to collect the data and things like that. We have our own Indian set of data as well, which is please go ahead and like India AI website. Yeah, so go ahead and visit India AI website and look for your own data sets and start playing with all those data, create your own dashboards. I think this is going to give you the confidence to work on the problems which will be given to you. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thanks, Madhu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, back to you, Dr. Mahendar.
Yeah. So, sorry, excuse me for the connectivity. So, yeah, data definitely, as Mr. Shailesh was mentioning, that as AI, India needs AI. At the same time, AI needs India in terms of the variability and diversity of various applications we have. So, in terms of the data aspects, we have a fair amount of data so far, been aggregated in last 5 years across all the key sectors such as agriculture, education, and healthcare widely. And more than anything, we being a land of service sector, we have enormous data. In fact, only thing is maintaining these data repository time to time, and at the same time enabling that and keeping that accessible for especially the education institutions. Okay, this is where the catch is. Okay, unlike in US, what Mahesh was referring to, the data.gov, which is pretty fast. In fact, even for the COVID also, they have enabled a separate section, and they've been updating. Okay, and whereas in this particular aspect, I would see that our system, be it a governmental or controlling system, is a bit slow, and they are not very proactive. They need to catch up the momentum, and in terms of the data repository, also what I feel is students need to take initiation, and they need to question more to their institutions and their universities. If students start questioning about it, students start inquiring more and more about it, then the system will move. Then the institutions will talk about it, then the universities will talk about it, and then it reaches up to the ministry, and then the data repository is more because still I don't say it is stigma, but our people still feel that keeping data open is a kind of a threat. Okay, but indirectly entire data is like open, but they don't accept that, and they don't keep much of data available for research purpose. That's where the limitation is. Otherwise, we would have solved so many issues by now. But at least now is the time that the data repository, especially the data bank, need to keep it accessible, and time to time it need to be updated. That is very much essential. And I feel as stakeholders, as enablers, we all are already working towards it, and key parties from the students. So they are the key stakeholders in it. So they need to talk a lot about it. They need to first of all demand. Then when there is a demand, we all can even talk to the policy makers and talk to the decision makers and put it across to them. When the users are not demanding for it, then there is no point in we talking much about it. So my request always with the students would be, they need to be more proactive. They need to show their inquisitiveness, and they need to demand more from these data resources. So yeah, Mahesh, I think been covered.
Yeah, thanks, Mahendar. To quickly conclude, the first question I was asked about, do you think rank in HackerRank or a Kaggle is a good motivator? Yes, absolutely. From the not only from this rank perspective, it's a more from a reputation point of view. And
but, but very soon, sorry to interrupt you. I'm looking forward that Orbit Shifters need to initiate something like this actually, at least to create a ranking system in AI and IoT. We are looking something domestic actually.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
India needs that. India needs that.
Sure, Mahendar, we'll come back to that. And the second question was public data sites like a data.gov. How do you think such repositories contribute to gaining confidence in hackers?
That's what I was talking about. It's the US initiated system, data.gov, and as we know that they're always a front runner in terms of taking this kind of thing. And they have also made the much data about the COVID-19 related, made it available. The best example is, I'll tell you, there are a few of my mentees, students who have been working on COVID-19 solutions. For example, one student from KL University Hyderabad, he was working on it's a diagnosis of COVID-19 based on the chest X-ray. He did enormous work actually. What he was looking for was sample. He's been asking for sample. We tweeted to KTR. We spoke to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan. We reached out to all the possible sources. Nobody could help us. Everybody was apprehensive about it.
Are you talking about Ravi? Ravi.
This guy is Suresh actually from KL University Hyderabad. Only thing is, then I don't know when they will make it available. After a year or so, by then it will become obsolete. So what I mean to say is, the data repository need to be accessible at least at an appropriate time when the research work is going on. When the researchers need it, at least by then, the institutions has to make it available, or at least on a special request it has to happen. But unfortunately, we don't have that mechanism or some enablers in the system for that. So definitely data.gov, such kind of systems are very much required for us because we all are now in advanced stage, as Mr. Shailesh was explaining. In fact, he is core into that, and they have been developing it and applying it. So as he clearly explained, we are into that phase now, especially in India, in our country. So we need a data.gov type of things, especially domestic ones. Because in data.gov, we don't have anything much related to the subcontinent aspect. Yeah, Madhu. Yeah, Madhu.
Yeah. So just to answer that, yes, we do already have that system in place. If you visit India.ai, that page, there is a placeholder where you get the data sets which is available. But yes, this is just started. I think you'll have a lot of data getting uploaded over there as well.
Yeah, the data sets are there, Madhu. But what I mean to say is not updated, not contemporary.
The timeliness and response.
Yeah. We need something related to COVID-19 now, not after 6 months or 1 year.
Right, you're right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mahendar, and thanks, Vijay. And see, apart from that, while doing your hackathon, so some of the mindsets which you need to include and adapt is one is as empathy. Though you don't have the real consumer or customer, so at least you should start, kind of collecting all the questions to unanswered questions. And the other one is having more domain knowledge. And the other one is you need to think and adapt the one of the important mindset, which is business forward and backward outcome. So going forward, if you look at the traditional placements won't be there. So it would be majority of the placements would be driven through hackathons. That's where even the market is started now. So even now going forward, if you look at your GitHub ID will become a resume for you. So that's where the contribution to GitHub community, based on that, people are going to reach you. So no need to you go to the website, a job portal, apply a job, and then get. So it could be a reverse. Once you do some kind of a projects and keep your code always in a GitHub and on a timely basis, you start updating. This is where the new era is started with the latest technology. So thanks a lot, guys. And we are.
Yeah. So one point I want to add to that, Mahesh, whatever you said, while working on the